definitely want to let you guys know that I am I'm grateful and pleased that you're all here this morning to connect, first of all, because that's a really, really good and important thing for us to do, and also to sort of participate and to get this primer on supervision, or Supervision for Dummies, or Idiot's Guide to Supervision. See, I was thinking Idiot's Guide to Supervision is sort of an ambiguous label because it's not exactly clear who the idiot is. You know, is the idiot the guy talking, or is the idiot the guy receiving? So, just as we get going, before we get into the supervision stuff, one of the other things I just want to bring you up to speed on is I'm on the fringe of the branch executive. I'm elected to the branch executive, but with the specific portfolio of representing our association in the movement, the initiative of the Manitoba Coalition of Counselling Therapists, or Association of Counselling Therapists. So that's my. Since I stepped out of the president's role of the whole association, that's where I have sort of decided to sort of focus and commit my energy to move that task forward. So that's what I'm doing. And so if this morning or down the road you have questions about that process, then by all means connect with me, and I'd be happy to help. And I'd be happy to enlist you to help us. I'd be very happy to do that too. Can you hear me? Okay. So I got some handouts so that you don't have to take so many darn notes. And these handouts will be available the same place where this video is, wherever that lands. And what I'm going to do is talk a little bit about the PACCP policy.
Silent P.
I'm just calling it PAC with the silent P.
Rebel. PACCP. I want to talk about the policy in place regarding supervision and consultation, and so that's question one. So what do I need to be doing? And then question two is, why the heck do I have to jump through this hoop? Like, what's the blankety blank point of all of this? And three is more practical, logistical. How do you do it? So you may or may not be aware, but if you are an associate member, which is now called Associate Professional Counselor, how many of you are that membership category? Associate member. Okay. Then one of the sea changes in the association over the last year or 2 years is that we've wanted to communicate that membership category is meant to be a transient category. It's not a place for a person to arrive at and make their home and set up camp and become comfortable. It's a transient category, and so that's why the policy says that there's a clock ticking to move out of that category into the certified professional counselor category. So the clock is 5 years, and over those 5 years, collect 500 hours of client contact and 50 hours of supervision. And so that's no longer optional. That's a requirement, because, as I say, because we want to understand that a normal place to live, a normal place to arrive at is a certified professional counselor. So that requirement, that makes you say, okay, so like supervision, what exactly is supervision? I come home at the end of the day and I talk to my cat about my cases, and some of the feedback I get from my cat's really helpful. So is that supervision? Or your dog, or your small child, whatever. And so in this handout I have included probably the kind of the gold standard quote, or definition, I should say. It's a quotation, it's a definition. It's probably the gold standard for what is supervision. And the key elements are that supervision is, the key things I'm going to highlight is it's evaluative and hierarchical. So if I get together on a regular basis with Glennis here and say, let's do some case consultation, and we'll swap back and forth some cases and talk about them. That doesn't fall into the supervision category. That's going to be falling into the case consultation category. Because supervision is evaluative. Somebody has power in a supervisory relationship. It doesn't have to be. Hopefully, it's not wielded with a heavy hand, obviously, but that's an element that makes supervision. And the other elements there, I also want to name really quickly that it's structured over time, and it has the goals of obviously improving the service that the client is receiving, and improving the functioning of the counselor. And depending on the circumstances, it may also sort of have a gatekeeping sort of function to it. So that's in the academic realm, where students are interns and they need to successfully complete that internship to pass. Well, what's happening there is that the institution or the practicum placement is taking the responsibility to protect the public down the road by yaying or naying that supervisee. And so they may say, highly unlikely, but they may say, we need to protect the public from this crazy narcissist counselor that talks to his cat when he gets home from work. So he really shouldn't be practicing, so we're going to actually hold him back. That's the gatekeeping thing. I'm interruptible. If you've got a burning question that you want to sort of throw in, feel very free. If you're a certified professional counselor, formerly known as certified counselor, now certified professional counselor, then it's not a requirement to be participating in supervision. It is a requirement to be doing at least some regular case consultation. And the number that the policy currently has built into it is 1 hour of case consultation for every 20 hours of client contact. And as you can read there, that number is being reviewed and maybe modified in the more sort of liberal direction. I was hoping to hear back, and they haven't got it nailed down. So, case consultation is two peers getting together, and I'm going to talk about my case. Glennis is going to talk about her case. She's going to give me feedback about my case. I'm going to give her feedback about her case, and then we go our separate ways. And I'm not evaluating her, and she's not evaluating me.
Okay, so it's just for the certified, not the associate?
Right.
Okay, so the associate needs to get their supervision in place, and then they go to the peer consultation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Can continue to do supervision if you want. But
No, Don, and that an associate could do peer consultation, but it wouldn't apply to what they do.
right. Right.
Say that again. An associate can do peer consultation, but it would not apply to what they need in supervision hours.
Wonderful thing to do. The case consultation doesn't need to be one-on-one. It can be a triad. It can be a group. All of these can be Skype-based, given that we're in Canada and we are cast far afield, like places. What's that place? Oh, it's a long way away. Brandon, yeah, like all the way to Brandon. Supervision also can be Skype. Supervision also can be group. This is where there's
Supervision or case counseling?
both actually.
Okay.
Yeah. And the association is asking us to just be sort of wise and prudent in how much of our supervision is, if you're at the associate level, how much of the supervision is group. Because group is wonderful. It's great to get together, but it's not going to be as powerful as one-on-one. So we're asking members to be big boys and girls and sort of make that a judicious call on your own. Okay, so that's the policy stuff. Boring stuff. Question 2 is why do I have to do this? Why would I want to do this? Thanks for asking. That's an awesome question. In some of the stuff that I've read, because I spent way too much time reading, is on sort of the research literature on counselor development, therapist development over their lifespan, and some of you will totally get this, that the effect or the impact on the counselor development that happens in the classroom, in the graduate level training, that impact fades. Like I vaguely remember what I learned in my master's degree, and some of it was good, and some of it, I've repressed, and it's awesome. But it fades, like the actual, not just memory, but the impact and the power in terms of my effectiveness in September 2014 fades. The most potent phase of our development is in the postgraduate supervision component. That's what matters, and that's what makes the most difference in terms of our being effective. It's postgraduate, first year is postgraduate, but continuing postgraduate also, and the mechanism that is most potent is supervision. So that's why that's one of the reasons why this is a big deal, because it's what grows us over the career span. So there's one bullet point. It just that's what the research literature says on counselor development. The next bullet point is I have had the it's really a privilege. I've had the privilege over the last number of years to be involved in various capacities with ethics complaints. It's an amazing experience. In a bunch of different ways, it's an amazing experience. And so I've sat on ethics and investigation committees, and I've also sat on the board as the board has sort of taken or has received the findings from the ethics committee, and the board is the kind of the teeth. And so the ethics committee, submits the report to the board, and the board administers it. So I've had the privilege over the last number of years to have a front row seat on, which basically amounts to kind of a forensic analysis on when things screw up. Why did they screw up? How did they screw up? And what kinds of people screw up? Really interesting. Really interesting. One of the findings is that, this is not research. This is my observation. Pop quiz. Let me make up the question. Yeah, it is a real pop quiz. The cohort of counselors who most frequently show up before the ethics tribunal are A, students, B, counselors in their first 2 years of practice, C, counselors in their first 5 years of practice, or counselors who've been practicing for 5 years or more.
5 years. D.
You guys are having fun.
You should have put it in the middle, Don.
Yeah, it's always in the middle. Yeah. You guys are no fun because you guys are awesome, and you could see it coming, right?
Because we're all D.
Yeah. He's talking about me. I'm not talking about you. But that's what I've seen. Is it's people that are longer in their years of practice past graduation. And the other thing is with in the vast majority of the cases, this is not absolute, but in the vast majority of the cases, the counselor was not receiving supervision. So partly that's just the statistics talking, but also I think there's a dynamic that goes on that when in our subconscious mind, when we're not conscious that our work is under scrutiny, excuse me, in supervision, or if we're not conscious that we have a place to go to bounce ideas off, a la case consultation, we just wing it. And winging it is dangerous. One of the other musings that I've taken away from that involvement with ethics at various levels, and this is probably the most sobering one of all, is in just about all of those cases that I've had a window into, the situation could have been resolved before it blew up and came to the ethics committee. It could have been caught, and it could have been resolved in the clinical room. It didn't have to blow up, and again we get sort of tunnel vision because we don't think over the course of our week. Hey, I'm having trouble with this case. I'm concerned about my counter-transference stuff, or I'm concerned about blah blah blah, and it's a good thing I'm talking with Glennis on Tuesday next week because this is the case I want to talk with her about. Just that makes a difference. So that's the testimony from the ethics department. The secret of the super shrinks. This is sort of the dirty secret. Don't tell your clients this, but here's a...
It's going on the web, better watch it.
Okay, well, but it's going to be password protected, so it's okay.
Yeah, okay. For professionals only.
Yes, totally tongue in cheek. So here's a graph, and it's on the horizontal axis is effectiveness of the counselor, and the vertical axis is numbers of counselors. So basically, there's a bell curve about our effectiveness. Most of us are average. By definition, most of us are average, and some of us are below average. I won't ask for a show of hands, and some of us are above average. And so the super shrinks is referencing a piece of literature that has tracked down those therapists that are just freaking awesome. Because there are therapists that are just freaking awesome. Their clients don't drop out, and their clients say that therapy helped. That's my working definition of a super shrink. And so thousands of research studies and millions of dollars has been spent to try and figure out what makes therapy effective, right? I mean, there's oodles of research trying to track down what makes therapy effective. Is it the age of the therapist? Is it the years of experience of the therapist? No and no, by the way. Is it gender match? Is it a therapeutic? Is it a particular theoretical orientation? No and no, by the way. Scott Miller, Barry Duncan, Mark Hubble are three of the gurus that have been, frankly, a little bit obsessive in trying to track down the answer to the question, what's going on with these guys that are super shrinks? Like, are they smarter than me?
Are you going to ask us so we can guess? It's a rhetorical question.
It's a rhetorical. I'll take 3 answers.
Number of courses, and keep educating themselves.
Sorry?
They keep educating themselves. Keep going into courses.
Okay, you see, you're no fun. Because
you already told me.
Because I already told you about it. Yes, yes. You're disqualified.
She actually listened to you, John.
I totally freaked out. Totally freaked out. So yes, as Sean said, just for y'all and also for the video, what makes these guys really, really awesome is they try harder, they pay attention to their cases that they're stuck on, and they are constantly improving and constantly trying to get better. They're not complacent. Maybe you're hoping for a more sort of awesome answer to the question, but that's the answer. And what's really exciting is that that's accessible to all of us, because it's not gender, it's not years, it's not how smart you are. It's being like a dog with a bone when you know you're stuck, or being like a dog with a bone when you notice that you're not making progress with this case. That's what those super shrinks do. How do they do it? Well, the really easy and obvious way of doing it is structuring it in supervision and case consultation. So you're not stuck in your own office, kind of staring at the wall saying, what should I try with that case? Actually talking to somebody and saying, this is what I tried and it blew up in my face. What should I try? And somebody else will have a view. That's the secret of the super shrinks. And finally, the last bullet point is Proverbs 19:20. Get all the advice and instructions you can, so you'll be wise the rest of your life. Awesome. It's biblical. This is awesome. It's biblical. So that's why I've been on the receiving end of supervision at various places, and I have been the administrator of supervision at kind of regularly, and I am currently involved in case consultation, and I wouldn't leave home without it. I just have found it so valuable. All of those, actually, receiving supervision, providing supervision is really, really helpful for me, and also case consultation is just really, really wonderful. It's a breath of fresh air. It normalizes our experience, and even when I'm not bringing my problematic case, when I'm listening to others talk about and contributing to people's problematic cases, I come away richer and blessed. So that's the why. That's the sell on this. In terms of, so what to do about it? The first thing you need to do is identify what you need. Do I need supervision, or do I want supervision, or is all I need case consultation? Identify from your records where you're at, how much of it you need. Also, I'd encourage you to lean back in your chair and stare at the ceiling and ask yourself, so what exactly do I need developmentally? So if I do get supervision, what do I need? So for example, one supervision that I just started, the person was saying, I'm seeing an increasing number of couples, and I'm noticing that I'm getting stuck with couples more frequently than I like to be. So it's that's my deficit. I need to get better at doing couples stuff. Raise your hand if that's you, yeah. And so this person said, okay, the thing that I need to get out of supervision, and asked me, their supervisor, can you help me with this? Is I need to get more proficient at couple stuff, assessing and intervening and treatment planning in that area. So part of our conversation at the very front end was that person describing that to me, and then me responding, yay or nay, I think I can help you with that, or